welcome to another episode of Brown Girls Are Beautiful. I'm going to try to put this microphone up here so I can talk to y'all. Hold on one second. I'm going to try to clip this phone up here and talk to y'all. Hopefully it doesn't. Oh, this thing is dirty. I got to clean that. Okay. Hopefully it doesn't fall, y'all. All right. So, oh, and the sun is beaming. Hold on, let me close this. Let me close that, y'all. All right, greetings, y'all. Welcome to another episode of Brown Girls Are Beautiful. I have been actually under the weather for the last couple of days, so you have not seen me on here, and that's why I've actually been trying to heal and everything like that. Trying to get my body rejuvenated, and you could probably still hear it in my voice. It's still a little bit going on, but it's 71 degrees out here today, and I decided to come to the park, y'all. I decided to come out to the park and just do a little walk around the lake. I went through the nature trail. I saw that they chopped down some more trees back there and they're building a discovery place, unfortunately. Um, and I really liked having the trees there. Y'all, these people just know how to just destroy everything that their hands comes into uh, contact with. But the premise and the point of this video is about Thanksgiving because I know most of you may be making holiday plans. You're out, trying to gather resources to entertain and to dine and to wine and, do all these things. You're probably getting ready to cook and doing all this stuff, right? Going out of your way to make travel arrangements. And there's nothing wrong with that because this is a time when you get usually like a 4 day break. Some people will get like a 4 day break. Some people won't. Some people will. It depends on if you work in retail, then you might have to work this weekend. We just want to give a shout out to everybody that makes our lives more convenient. I want to give a shout out to the people that work at, the Best Buy workers, the Walmart workers, Target, all the places that people don't think about that has to get up extra super early, leave their families, and go be out here dealing with these people, right? But I want to say this too, especially for my melanated people. It's okay if you don't want to celebrate today. What's good, Lonesome Dove? It's so good. It's okay if you don't want to celebrate tomorrow. Y'all, my nephew's birthday is tomorrow, and he has made a personal request for me to watch him turn 14. So I will be in the company of my family tomorrow, not really celebrating this egregious slaughtering and beheading of my ancestors because the people came and overtook this land. That's not what I'm celebrating. I'm celebrating my nephew's birthday because it's tomorrow, y'all, and he's actually asked for my presence to be there. And so I'm going to make that trip for him, and I will have some footage. What's good, Lizelle? But it's important for everybody to understand that these holidays are pagan holidays that are made up by man. They're man made holidays. And if you don't have anyone to allegedly celebrate with, if you don't have a family that you feel comfortable with, or friends, or whatever, don't feel left out, y'all. There are a lot of people out here that are really going through it and suffering in life. And so we need to be more, how are you doing, Lizelle? We need to be more understanding because, there are some people out here that are in the hospital. Who's going to visit them? There are people at the nursing homes right now. They can't leave. Who's going to visit them? There are people that can't walk, can't talk, people that are unconscious right now. Who's thinking about them? And so as we gather for these quote unquote, what they like to classify as holidays, we got to really put things into perspective. We are lucky and we're blessed that we're able to live, see, hear, breathe, have the functioning of our five senses, have the functioning of our limbs, our lungs, be of sound mind, of sound judgment. And even if we have somewhere to live, somewhere to call a home, a bed to sleep in at night, we have food. We are grateful and thankful for these things, y'all. He said it's okay to be with family during this time. Like Paul said in the Bible, it's okay to eat food sacrificed to others' gods as long as you don't believe in them. So it's okay to eat. Just keep your heart. My thing is this: the whole premise of this alleged holiday is because the pilgrims, which they like to make the pilgrims seem like they're so innocent, which they were not. When they think about pilgrims, they told us in school that the pilgrims were put here because they traveled for religious purposes, right? The pilgrims were actually celebrating at the dinner table of the beheading of our ancestors. Okay, that's what this holiday is really about. This holiday is not, thank you, Liz, this holiday is really not about what people make it to be. So even though we say we're getting together with our family, we're going to eat food, we're still partaking in a ritualistic practice. And I don't think our ancestors would take kindly to that, especially knowing what they went through when this land was conquered. So we're still giving into these practices. Now, I'm not saying don't be with your family, but if you are with your family, please be careful. I hope you have a good time. But we need not to let the history fall by the wayside, because the more and more time goes on, the more and more the youth, they don't know the truth, right? We are a country full of lies, right? And in a world that's been brutalized, especially my melanated people. And I know people get tired of me talking about melanated people, but you can't get tired of it because I'm a melanated person. And all of this would not even be going on had it not been for the history of which my ancestors have gone through. And I feel like their blood runs through my veins, their DNA runs through my veins. So I'm never going to stop advocating for somebody that is a part of me, right? The reason why I'm here. Thank you, Liz. You said you don't celebrate, but you will eat what they offer you, like natives offering the peace pipe. And you said you like my earrings. Thank you. Our DNA is in this. Yes, our DNA is definitely in this, y'all. And it would be remiss of me. It would be remiss of me, y'all. I'm about to be nosy for a second. Look, 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 look. Check it, check it, check it. Look who's walking past. Y'all, zestiness is all around. Zestiness is all around. And I think they're actually putting stuff into some of the food to make this happen, because a lot of estrogen is being pumped into even baby formula. That's a whole different separate topic. There's zestiness all around. And y'all, it was one earlier, and his name, I don't even want to talk about it, y'all. Getting back to the subject matter, that was a cute dog. The thing is, I think we get overlooked a lot of times, melanated people. Our people are overlooked the most. And when we talk about us, our history, our people, what we go through, nobody cares. Nobody tunes in. Nobody taps in. Nobody wants to hear it. How are you doing, Blanca? You said it's the some being used in the pesticides. Yeah, in agriculture. Exactly right. So my thing is this: we can't let it be forgotten. I would be remiss if I know the truth and I sit here and say nothing, right? Knowing that my ancestors died for us to be here, knowing that our ancestors died for every immigrant that walks this land to be here. Our ancestors died for all these people to be here. And even these Europeans that come over here are immigrants. So we've had ICE here, and I've still been seeing on the neighborhood app that ICE has been here. And I talked to somebody earlier, and he was scared because he's going to get on a plane, and he was worried about border patrol. But I told him, I said, I don't think you have anything to worry about. Now, I don't have anything against him. I don't have anything against people that are just living their lives and doing what they're doing. But we cannot be so remiss, so entitled, so uncaring, right? That we don't understand the fabric of which this land stands and who really went through it for us to get to it. So, in order for people to have the wealth that they have today, Europeans, Caucasoids, Caucasians, and whites. In order for these people to be living carefree with all the wealth that they have acquired, they have had a 400-year, a 4 century head start from them coming over here, taking over, conquering, pillaging, beheading, slaughtering, lying. And they're still doing this to each other right now. We have to talk about this because this is very much the truth, y'all. He said, you think ICE still going to be around if they remove all the illegals? I don't know what ICE is going to do. And really, ICE is really not, it's the least of my worries right now, because I'm not an immigrant. And that's why I'm talking about this, because I'm an indigenous person of the land. I was born here. My lineage is from here. Never once did my grandparents say that we came on a slave ship. But see, these are the lies they like to tell the youth. They're still telling these lies in school. They're still telling these lies to everybody, And a lot of people, a lot of immigrants and foreigners that come here, they don't even know the real history. So it's up to us to educate people and to talk about it, because as much as they keep telling the lie, we have to keep negating the lie. We have to keep, going against the narratives that they keep lying to us about. You said, what is my favorite color? I like a multitude of colors, you all. I think I talked about this last weekend. I like a multitude of colors. It just depends on what it is. Right now, I like burgundy because I'm wearing burgundy today. He said, legal immigration, yes. Illegal, no. Nobody gave me shit. Clint, I hear you. You said you're not worried about ICE either. I was thinking about our freedoms. Well, you know what? If that's the case, Lonesome Dove, we are still not free. We might be physically free, but it's so many of us that are not free in the mind. We're still not free in the mind because so many people are still slave minded, y'all. So many of our melanated people are still slave minded because they still believe about the pilgrims and the Indians, and they still believe in these pagan holidays, and they still believe in celebrating the beheading and the slaughtering of their ancestors because this is what the Caucasian told them to celebrate. So they're still not free. So you're talking about the borders. You said we not free. We can't walk across the borders. No, we can't. And the thing is, if I wanted to walk across the border to get to Mexico right now, do you think they're going to let me over there? No, they're not just going to let me across that border. My day has been all right, Miss Lizelle. If I wanted to just walk across any border, I can't just do that. Why do they think they can just easily come across a border and invade someone's country illegally and then reap the benefits of something that we've been working for generations? I've been working since I was 15. I've been paying taxes since I was 15. Like I said in my prior videos, our tax money is ripped away from our paychecks and spent by the government to give these illegal people benefits, giving them rights to live here, giving them money to feed children that we didn't ask them to come over here and have. But when it's up to melanated people, when we have like single melanated females out here, and I'm not saying that they were out here being thought trots, maybe something happened in their life, because there are a lot of melanated people, females in particular, that go out here and work. They go out here and get degrees, they go out here and get certifications, and they still fall on hard times because they're discriminated against on their jobs. Nobody talks about that. When they need benefits, they're given the runaround. And that's what I'm talking about. I am talking about it's not fair to our melanated people that are putting money in the pot but can't reap the benefits. But these people can come over here and have a whole bunch of kids like cockroaches, multiplying and reproducing, because they made this egregious law that as long as your child is born on American soil, they are an American citizen, even if their parents are not. This is ridiculous. Who are these people? The illegal people that do this stuff, Noah. You said you just subscribed. And I take issue with that because that is basically a slap in the face to, like I said, the indigenous people of this land, to the people that were already living here, right? Before these people came and conquered it. And then they take and delegate our money however they want. The illegals come over here and they got paid thousands of dollars, and don't say they didn't, because they did. Thousands of dollars to be here, put up in the Jefferson Hotel out in New York, which is a very luxurious hotel, by the way. And you had people that couldn't even book that hotel. These people have come over here and wreaked havoc on American soil, and yet and still nobody talks about the things that melanated females go through, melanated people go through, right? But all of a sudden, we have to have all this care and concern and empathy and sympathy when it comes to every other nationality. And that's what I'm getting tired of. That's what I'm getting tired of. Did anybody ever say anything to us when that guy Scott Lamont shot down out here? Do you know Scott Lamont basically had a seizure on the street and they let that man die? You said you're confused. I'm talking about the fact that we don't need to be celebrating. We don't have to celebrate Thanksgiving, because Thanksgiving, I mean, it's okay if you want to celebrate it, but a lot of people don't know the truth because they keep lying about our truth as melanated people. They keep lying about our truth as indigenous people of this land. And people celebrate Thanksgiving because these Caucasians have lied so much about all of our history that I am debunking a lot of these narratives. People have been fed lies in America and all across this globe. So as people sit there and feast at the head of a table, they're feasting to the beheading and the slaughtering of their Native American ancestors, and they don't even know that because we've been lied to in school, and they keep telling these lies to our youth. So I went from that to talking about it's okay for them to lie to us because every other nationality benefits off of melanated beings. They benefit being here because melanated people have built this land, and they've been benefiting off the backs of everything that we've built here. That is what I'm talking about. And if you don't understand that, I don't know what to tell you, okay? But I'm not really here to cater to anybody's feelings. I'm just here to tell the truth as it is, because the truth is not beautiful, it is ugly. People like beautiful lies here in America. They don't like the ugly truth. But we cannot keep catering to other people to feed their egos because they come over here and benefit. We cannot keep feeding people's egos because they get offended. My point and premise of this channel is not to feed anybody's ego because they get insulted by the truth. And this is not a channel to make people feel good. This is a channel to talk about things that have to do with people that align with my genealogy and my DNA. And I cannot overlook what my ancestors have been through. That would be an abomination to myself because without them, I wouldn't be here. So I'm not going to sugarcoat anything to make other people feel better. That's just not going to happen. And a lot of times when we talk about these things, people get hypersensitive and, they want to start hollering, which I could care less because the truth is the truth and it's never going to change. Yes, we do celebrate the coming together, and the origins is complicated, but it's originally a coming together of settlers and the Wampanoag people. It was also the beheading of our indigenous Native Americans as well. It was the slaughtering and the taking over of this territory, which a lot of people don't like to talk about that. And we have to be realistic when we talk about these things. We can talk about them coming together, but how did they come together? It was not in peace. So let's stop telling these lies. Let's start telling the truth and stop telling lies to the youth, because the more this history gets whitewashed and brainwashed into people's minds, the more they're going to think this is reality, and it's not. And I just cannot sit here. Jeeper, why don't you move forward and stop dwelling on the past? This is what y'all like to do when people start talking about the truth. Why don't y'all get over the past? Why don't you move forward and stop dwelling on the past? And the thing is, the past affects the current and the future. So we cannot just glaze over it. And that's the thing that a lot of people like to talk about. Oh, just get over it. I don't need to get over anything. I don't need to get over anything. And you don't really have the right to tell me how I should feel unless you are walking or unless you have been through some of what I'm talking about. Why don't y'all get over the Holocaust? Why don't y'all get over the Border Patrol and ICE? I could be like that. Why don't y'all get over the fact that they were putting y'all children's in cages? I could say stuff like that, but I try to be very, selective on things that I say, not to offend other people. But I see that when it comes to melanated people and we talk about these things, people like to say stupid stuff out of their mouths. People like to say this nonsense. Yeah, get over 9/11. We could talk about that too, which we know 9/11 was an attack on the American people by the American government. That's what that was. And we know that their false flags keep existing. So just because today's Thanksgiving, well, tomorrow, technically they said tomorrow's Thanksgiving, because it's supposedly Thanksgiving. My thing is this also too, people and the celebrities want to go out and hand out turkeys. What is handing out turkeys doing to really help benefit people? Maybe they get to eat for a couple of days, and then what happens after that, y'all? So I'm just like, it's just the hypocrisy of it all for me. And then there's Black Friday. And what is Black Friday based on? They were selling slaves on the stock market out in Manhattan, which where they have built, what is it? I can't the park, Manhattan, that park out there, Central Park. They built that over top of all the history of melanated people. That's where they used to go out there and sell slaves on the stock market. They used to have these women and children and men, and they used to put them up on the podium and they used to bid on them like chattel, like they are basically handing over an object, like it's a car. So this is where you get your Black Friday from. So for anybody that wants to tell me to get over it, I'm telling you where these practices come from. You get over it. You can't handle the truth, then get off of here. But I'm not going to just sit here idly and let people make a mockery of my ancestors, my history, because their DNA lives in my veins. And I'm not just going to do that. If you can't handle that, then get off the channel. I talk about a multitude of topics. So, and I'm not going to just overlook topics that directly impact my people. That's just stupid. Now, who would do that? There are people out there that will do it. No, no, I know you're not trying to be rude. You said that's why TV dinners were invented because of leftover turkeys and sides. Layla, we will get over it when Europeans stop benefiting. Thank you, Lala Go Harder. We will get over it when Europeans stop benefiting from our ancestors' free labor. Thank you. Give it all back, and we'll think about getting over it. Y'all, right now, the where I'm at, you said you love my nails. Thank you. Where I'm at right now, there are $1 million houses right here on the other side of this park, all owned by who? And where do you think they acquired their wealth? A lot of people acquire, a lot of Europeans have acquired their wealth from the backs and the labor of melanated beings that built this country. And not only do Europeans benefit off of it, but a lot of immigrants that come over here benefit off of it because they are given loans to build businesses. When they talk about melanated people, and excuse me for looking away because I'm thinking as I'm talking to you, I'm not trying to be rude, but a lot of people that come over here, they like to talk down on melanated people and say that, oh, black people are lazy, right? Which I don't subscribe to the term black, but that's what they like to call us. They're lazy. When you have gone to college, you have multiple degrees, you've been working since you were 15, you had multiple jobs, you have done a multitude of things in your life, but you are financially disenfranchised because one thing that is inherently understood across the globe from other nations is that melanated people are looked as the lowest on the totem pole. They don't want to see you winning in life, and they will do everything they can to try to keep you at the bottom, and it's a systematic practice that's done to do this. So when they can come over here and get business loans because all these benefits are freely given to immigrants, they can sit there on their pedestal and try to look down on people because they've come to someone else's country getting our taxpayer money that we actually put into the system, and they benefit off of it. So when you talk to me about ICE and border control, I really don't care about ICE and border control because they're not coming after me. I'm a Native American. I'm an indigenous person. I'm not an African American. I wasn't born in Africa and come to America. I was born here. My family genealogy and lineage starts here. You cannot tell me what I am. I don't. Who else lets another nationality tell them who they are? Does Chinese people let the Russians tell them who they are? No, but melanated people let the white man tell them who they are. We let them tell us that we're African Americans. That makes no sense. Who are they to tell us who we are when they came from Europe? That's craziness, right? They are, all of them are immigrants. All these people from Germany and Finland and Italy and Scotland, those are all European. These Europeans, they are all immigrants, right? But they get to be the president of America. They get to be in politics. They run this country because they basically came over here and conquered this territory in a very salacious manner, might I add. And now that they've done that, now you see them invading other territories and other countries, right? And then they rewrite their history just the same way as they wrote our history. And then they tell all these immigrants that come over here, they tell them lies about us. Do you know how many people I've heard from other countries say, and other territories say, oh, we were told to stay away from black people. We heard that they're a bunch of trouble. They rob you. They do this, they do that, they do this, because they have come up with a systematic practice of making us look so bad in the media, right? There are so many people that are educated here. We don't even see them put on a pedestal on a public platform, but they like to show all the egregious, antics of melanated people. And look, I will say our people have issues because I talk about it on the channel. I talked about, the ignorance of melanated people, but I don't consider myself, those are a different type of people. Those are what you call melanated ninjas. Okay. I'm not a ninja. I'm a melanated indigenous person of this land. And there's a difference. And the same way you have good people in every nationality, that's the same thing with melanated people. But what do they like to push in the media? They like to push the bad side. They like to push all the negativity. It's all up in the music. And that's been basically weaponized against us as well. You said, what's my opinion on gay black men? I wish that more. Here's my thing. I know that they say that they're born into it and they can't help it. But I feel like some of it is glorified, and that needs to stop because we need our melanated men in this we need melanated men. Let's just say that. I don't care how much they try to push these gender wars. We need melanated men. We need strong melanated men out here, and we need to see these melanated men in our communities, especially in our schools, so that our youth will have someone to look up to. But the effeminization that's going on, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with the effeminization of the melanated male. And it's too many of them walking around here thinking it's all sweet and that it's acceptable. And I just don't agree with it. Now, if I come into contact with them, I'll talk to them, but in my mind, I'm wondering, what is it that made you go that way? What is it that you are missing in your life? Were you missing your father? Were you touched as a child? Did you not have a father around? Were you raised around a bunch of women? Were you around your aunties all day, around your sisters, your female cousins, your grandma? Because I think that that is going on too. And I think that we need more melanated men stepping up, raising their children. And I think a lot of that should cease because we do need to see alpha males in the melanated community. I'm not, thank you, Lizelle. I'm not talking about, like, when I say alpha males, I'm not talking about the thing that they call the red pill group, because that red pill, blue pill stuff, that's some nonsense in my opinion. The red pills that don't like melanated women. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about real decent men that are out here that care about melanated communities. You said rickles, sickle cell, lots of blood pressure diseases forced onto them through the government programs. Yes, this was very true. You said black communities always targeted with chemical warfare. There's actually a video that I wanted to do about how they went out and sprayed chemtrails through melanated communities. And these melanated people grew up to become like 50 and 60 years old. Right now, they are suffering with cancer. This goes on. And I mean, they keep doing it, and it's basically a genocide that takes place. It's the warrior spirit that's misguided, says Lala. Thank you, Lizelle. One love and God bless and happy Thanksgiving harvest. Yes, Noah. Peace and love to everyone. Same back to you. Yeah, each other. Yeah, instead of tearing each other down, that needs to happen. We should all stand together. I agree. We should all stand together against evil. But you know what? When melanated people try to stand up against evil, when melanated people try to come and stand up and tell people, this is evil, they're attacking us, they're doing this, nobody stands up for melanated people. Melanated people are left on an island all by themselves. And now I've seen all these videos about the ICE agents, about border control. I've seen, look, let me show y'all. You see these? Hold on. Let me show y'all something. You see why these people get to come here and roam freely at the park? You see why these people get to come here and do half the stuff they do? They come over here and leave leisurely lives, right? They're not out here slaving and working. You said some, not all. They get to come over here and live like that, and they negate to understand whose country this really is, whose country this really belongs to. And then a lot of them turn their noses up to melanated people. A lot of them think they're better than melanated people because they have been lied to by Europeans and Caucasoids and Caucasians, when the same Caucasians that look down on them make them feel in superior to melanated people. So I'm always going to advocate for us first. I didn't say they were illegal, Noah. I said, why do you think they get to come over here? Okay. Why do they not go to India? We already know India is very impoverished. A lot of them come over here because they want to get into IT and tech, and they want to make more money over here. They get a lot of tech jobs. A lot of them carpool to work. I used to live around a neighborhood full of Indian people, and the way they act like they're better than melanated people. Okay, I'm not saying all of them, because I have a doctor that she's Middle Eastern, and I told her, I said, the reason I followed her throughout her career. She switched well, she didn't switch practices, she switched hospitals, and I followed her and I came back to her. So I don't this is not an attack on other nationalities. This is just truth. And for some reason when I start telling the truth about it, people seem like they want to defend these other people, or they want to get defensive in the comment section. This is not about attacking anybody. This is about telling the truth. And this is the truth. A lot of these what do you call them? Indian people that come from like Middle Eastern countries, they come over here and they try to act like they're better than the Native Americans, melanated people. Yes, they do. You said immigrant invade. They said they would do so. It is simple. Just open your eyes. Once upon a time, my parents were illegal. My mom still remembers picking cotton. I don't know why your mom was out there picking cotton, Lonesome Dove. That's wild as F to me that my mom was an indigenous servant. Indigent servant? That's craziness. An indentured servant. That's what you're saying? I can't believe she was out there picking cotton. You know what? That's craziness. I've seen cotton fields too. But what I'm saying is, like I said, these Middle Easterns, a lot of them come over here and they try to act like they're better than melanated people. You have a lot of Hispanic people, they do the same thing, especially like, and there's division even within the Hispanic community, like the people from Spain and Puerto Rico, they think they're better than Mexicans because they were told, because I guess Spain is closer proximity to Europe and the white territory, they think they're better. It's craziness. So this thing goes on, it's on a global scale, but at the bottom of the totem pole, you find melanated people, okay? And I'm not going to apologize for that because that is the truth. That is how most people around the nation feel. They feel entitled, they feel like they're superior, and they feel like they're better. And I don't know who told them these falsehoods, right? Because what land do they like to flock to? They like to flock to this territory from which the indigenous people come, the Native Americans, which are us, melanated people of this land. Shout out to this melanated guy that's walking. All right, you about to see him in the frame. Okay. So it's nothing against you if you're from another country, another nation. Like I said, I like to live in a multicultural environment. That's really what I'm accustomed to. But I noticed here in America, there's a lot of division when it comes to that. There's a lot of classism when it comes to that. There's a lot of falsehoods and lies that are told when it comes to that, right? Because like I said, I used to live in Germany. So I am accustomed to living around other people. And even the Germans didn't act as racist as a lot of the people do here in America. That's the sad part. The Germans would just stare at us. But you got a lot of these Middle Eastern people coming over here thinking that they're better than somebody. And I don't know who told them these lies, y'all. I don't know who told them these lies. You got a lot of these Hispanics coming over here thinking that they're better than someone. But you know what? And another thing, all these taco trucks I kept seeing at every gas corner, like the McDonald's on every corner, like a Bank of America on every corner. I haven't been seeing these taco trucks since ICE and the Border Patrol have been here. All of these tents and these tables, and they're out there selling fruits and having these fruit stands set up. Haven't been seeing them. Now you let the melanated guy that I was talking to that sells stones and tiger's eyes and amethyst, and he sets stones and stuff like that, let him go set up his stand. Oh, he's basically harassed by the police. He has to pay $100 fine. What's the difference between him and the Hispanic man going out here selling stuff? It's no difference. And that's what I'm saying about melanated people. They want you to be financially disenfranchised. It's not okay for you to do anything to better yourself. He's not selling drugs, he's selling stones. But what's wrong with him selling stones? But you can have these immigrants coming over here selling cantaloupe, watermelon, and all these other things freely out in the open. And you have all of the cops just ride by like nothing's going on. People will support that. But melanated people, let them go out and set up a stand. Oh, do you have a vendor's license? Oh, you got to be harassed. When this is your nation, this is your land, and you were born here. You are an American citizen, and you got to get harassed. So you want to ask me how do I feel about ICE right now? This is what Trump was talking about when he said that he was going to give American jobs back to American people and making America great again. Now, when was America ever great? America was great before these people came over here and invaded our country. And I'm talking about these European colonizers, these European invaders. That's when America was greater. Okay. So that's my take on that. And I do think that American jobs should be put back into the American people's hands. You have a lot of American jobs that were outsourced. I remember when I was working for a healthcare company for 12 years, our jobs, all of our jobs got outsourced and got sent over to India. Okay. I remember working at one of the credit card companies, a very um, popular credit card company. And when I would get on the phone, do you know what these Caucasian people would say to me? Oh, thank God, finally an American speaking person. I can't understand all these foreign accents. That's what they would tell me on the phone, y'all. But now, when you call into a lot of these call centers, you barely can understand what they're saying. There's a language barrier. They don't understand you. You don't understand them. There's miscommunication. They have been trained to not have any type of what I want to say, like they have been trained to not have any um analytical skills. So like how an American person, they understand what you're saying and they're trying to rectify the situation, and sometimes we might have to think outside of the box to fix your problem. These people have been trained by the book. They don't think anything else but what they have been told, almost like a robot, y'all. And it's kind of annoying. So sometimes you have to hang up and call back until you get an American speaking person so that you can tell them what your problem is, so that you can accurately troubleshoot or resolve your issue. Not all, I am not talking about all, but a great majority of this does happen a lot of times when you call into these companies, y'all. So there is a barrier. You know, there are culture barriers, there are language barriers, and let's not get into the fact of this melanated woman that went into the hospital, and I'm pretty sure y'all saw it out in Dallas. She was about to go into labor, and what did they do? Overlooked her labor symptoms and took her, I don't know how long to check her in, and basically she has a lawsuit going on. There's another lady that got turned away at the hospital. She was going into labor, y'all. Nice looking melanated woman too, beautiful. They turned her away while she was going into labor. She had the baby in the car. These are the things that I'm talking about, that other nationalities don't go through this. They don't go through this, y'all. Excuse me, I'm gonna have to get off of here because my cough is coming back. But this is the stuff I'm talking about. So like I said, if you don't want to celebrate Thanksgiving, you don't have to. I've been sitting here for a little while, 37 minutes. It's getting hot. It's 71 degrees, y'all. So I'm about to sign out. I've overheated. You said they steal your ID? Anyway, like, share, and subscribe. My apologies for this cough. I have Ricola cough drops. Thank you. They're right here. Thank you for putting. Thank you so much. Shout out to Ricola. It's only 30 degrees here with snow on the ground. Y'all, it's 71. I'm going to turn up the air conditioner, y'all. I've overheated or overdressed. I'm going to feel better. So many Americans coughing. Yeah, I think they're spraying our air, y'all. So just be careful. Like I said, nothing against you if you celebrate. Just please understand the real history and the fabric behind the lies that have been told on this country. Whether you are, indigenous to this land or not, whether you're illegal or not, I don't care. Whether you legally got here and you don't know our history, I'm telling you our history. These people have lied, okay? Just like white people lie on, they lie on Mexicans. They lie on all other ethnicities and all other races too. But they really lie on us the most because we are the target, y'all. When have we never been the target? You said, thank you. I am subscribed. My husband is Native American. Shout out to Native Americans. All right, y'all. Thank you so much. Enjoy your day. Whatever you do, I'm not here to judge. It's not for me to judge, y'all, but it is up to me to at least open up the minds, and at least to share my experience, my ancestors experience, because it does impact us. It does affect me. And no, we can't just move past it. If that's the case, just move past the Holocaust. If that's the case, move past ICE and Border Patrol, if that's the case, right? If that's the case, it's a lot of things that we could tell the Asian people to get over the bombings of Hiroshima. Do you know they dropped a bomb on Hiroshima and killed, I think, millions of Asians? I don't agree with that. I never thought that that was okay, but they did it. So to tell us to get over this is like telling every other nationality to get over what egregious things they've gone through. And usually the things that they've gone through has been at the hands of other Europeans. That's why you shouldn't tell people to get past it, because it is the same thing. It's just in a different form. No, we weren't put into gas chambers, but our babies, from what I understand, was fed to alligators as alligator bait. Our men were ripped apart. Do you understand? Literally, they tied them together and ripped them apart with horses. Do you understand that they gang raped, RAPED, our melanated men? So a lot of this gay activity that we're seeing, that is not a real indigenous Native American practice. This comes for Europeans. So yeah, people are very cruel, y'all. But that is all I'm saying, and if you want to go out and celebrate, celebrate, have a good time, because we work, we work hard out here in this land, and we deserve to enjoy our days off. We deserve to enjoy the time with our families and to celebrate, but just understand that this is a ritualistic day, this is a ritualistic practice, and I just want people to just acknowledge for a minute what our ancestors went through, because it would be remiss of me not to acknowledge them in this time. And they have experimented on us since we've met. Yes, they have, Layla Go Harder. They sure have. And they're still experimenting on us. They're experimenting on the melanated women's uterus right now. They're experimenting on the melanated women's uterus. Why do you think they always want to push for us to get hysterectomies? There are women that have been very young, 30 years old, haven't had children, and they push them to get hysterectomies. This was told to me by my Caucasian doctor, y'all. My Caucasian doctor, who was introduced to me by my holistic doctor, who she's a melanated woman from I don't know if she's from Africa or she's from South America, but she introduced us, and he said that they push for us to have hysterectomies when we don't even need to have hysterectomies. They push for us to get rid of our organs when we don't even need to get rid of our organs. They take our thyroids out. Our thyroids regulate our hormones. Our thyroids regulate our body temperature when we don't need to have our organs taken out. We need to actually regulate our hormones so that our organs can operate and function the way they're supposed to. And they put us on, these medications that never really cure us, y'all. You said the same reason they killed all those ostriches in Canada, because their blood cured diseases. It is disgusting. You said you're not an organ donor. Neither am I. But that's not to say that they're not going to donate your organs. We don't know what they do, once you're no longer here. We really don't know what they're doing. They have been pillaging us from the very beginning. You said it's called homeostasis. You know, right now they have a lot of mummies and people from Egypt sitting in the museums in Britain, out in Spain, all up in Europe. That is, to me, that is very disrespectful, to have people that have already gone and transitioned, and you have the shell and the frame of their body sitting in a museum like there's some type of animal, y'all, to be put on display. I don't see any white people doing that. Do you see any white statue? Well, yeah, we do see white statues, but do you see any real white people, white figures, white skeletoids, white skeletons sitting in anybody's African museums? No, because we don't do that depraved behavior. It is just, y'all, I could go on and on about how they treat us like we're less than humans. They treat us like we're not seen as humans. And they even said that we're not, back in history, they didn't see us as humans. They said that we derived from monkeys, y'all. Why isn't the cat turning into a cheetah? If that's the case, cats have been here for decades, for centuries. Cats have never switched and changed into a cheetah. Yeah, those bodies already dead, but that's very disrespectful to the ancestors, putting them on display and putting them up in a freaking museum. That's how I feel. Talking about, oh yeah, we derive from monkeys. I didn't derive from a monkey. And as a matter of fact, if you go with the people that have tails, and there are living people that are more, they align with European lineage, they have tails. And I'm not making this up. You can research it. They're the ones. So that's what I'm saying. They always twist the history and the truth. Those people have tails. And you can go and look this up. They don't look like melanated people. And there are some of them that walk on all fours. And they were living in caves, y'all. Bigfoot, where do you think they derive from? So this is the stuff that I'm talking about, how they always want to go and rewrite and retwist history. When they talk about the rhesus monkey and you talk about real, like, African blood, which you got the O negative, the O positive, and all of that. Why do you think O negative can donate to every other blood type, y'all? Because it is the most pure blood type, and that comes from Africa. They can donate to every other blood type, but they cannot receive blood from every other blood type. All right, so that lets you know where the superiority lies. And it also has been stated and told that melanated organs are very strong, and they are being sold on the stock market, the underground stock market. A lot of times, these killings that you see with melanated people, why do you think these melanated people are being taken out? It's not just, oh, this was a murder mystery crime. Some people, somebody, some wealthy European person needs an organ. And where did they get these organs? From young melanated people that have been murdered. And then also, like you said, Lala, go harder, higher than gold. They are also selling melanin as well. And that is definitely very, very valuable melanin, y'all. You said like alien type because it's so different from the rest of the blood types. You said you are a division, we are all Americans. I don't care what you think, SS short. If we were all alike, then how come you had a European scientist come on and say that they experiment on melanated people in medical settings? If we're so much alike, how is it that even the European scientist came on and said that the way that medicine works in melanated people, we're biochemically engineered differently, and it doesn't respond the same to us as it does in people that are melanin recessive. If we're so all alike, so we're not all biochemically alike. So stop lying to people. You don't study. And apparently they don't want us to know the truth about our DNA. That's why melanated people, shout out to my melanated people, shout out to my ultimate warriors, shout out to my spiritual warriors, because that's what y'all are. And one thing about y'all is they study you more than you study yourselves. This is why they're always in the laboratory doing medical experiments on you, because there is something about you that they're studying, and that is your DNA. They cannot survive without us. Don't get me started. They cannot survive without our energy. Why do you think they're always coming to where we are? You said you're not white, you're mixed, like America is. If you're mixed, you're mixed. SS short. Why are you coming into my comment section getting hypersensitive about it? Because we're all mixed up at this point. Let's go back into why some of us are mixed. Some of it was a choice and some of it was not. So let's get that together. If you go back into my lineage and my DNA, I have a mixture. Okay? God, you said God is also good and evil on some dove. So I mean, you're saying that I'm being divisive, but I didn't make the divisiveness. I am speaking on it. So if you can't handle that, then maybe you need to go to the people that made it divisive over here. I am talking about the experience of a melanated person. If you're not all the way melanated, maybe you would not understand some of what I'm talking about. And you're not going to negate me from talking about the truth. And that is the truth. History is the truth. And just because I'm talking about history and just because I'm talking about the truth does not make me be divisive. The people that made it divisive are the people that partake in the nonsense. Those are the divisive people. So you go and attack them. So we've already come together forcefully. Okay. We came together forcefully. Why do you think we have all these immigrants over here right now that live amongst us? All right. This was not something we didn't tell these people to come over here and invade our borders and our territory, come over here, steal our resources, reap the benefits off the taxpayer American dollars while they deny melanated women medical care while they're in labor. This just happened to two melanated people in the news. How am I the one divisive when that's what they're doing to melanated people right now? SS short. How am I being the divisive one? You need to go talk to these Caucasians that are doing this to the melanated people. He's literally proving my point. Thank you, Lala. Go harder. This just happened. And I was going to do a live stream about it, but unfortunately, I didn't have my voice. Your voice is very important, people. And so, what I want to tell you, your voice is powerful, it is impactful. As you said, all over here in our face. Yeah. Your voice is powerful and is very impactful. And that's why they don't like for us to talk about our truth and our reality. Like that woman had no business getting turned down in the maternity ward when she was about to go into labor and had to have her baby in a car because she's a melanated woman. And do you know what the CEO of the hospital said? Oh, well, I need to have a meeting with the staff about cultural difference in practices. What do you mean by cultural difference in practices? Okay, so SS short, why don't you go have that conversation with the CEO of that hospital and all the other people that practices division when it comes to melanated people on a global scale? Because you're not just having this conversation with brown girls are beautiful over here. You need to have this conversation with everybody that causes it to be divisive, because melanated people, we're not the ones that try to go and take over other people's land and try to migrate over there and reap benefits from other people's land. We don't go over to other people's country and bomb it up and, try to tell lies about other people's history. We defend ourselves, and we defend ourselves and our truth. That's when people come into the comment section being a hit dog hollering. That's when it's a problem, when we are on our own platform, because hence it says brown girls are beautiful. So of course it's going to be about melanated people. Of course I'm going to talk about things that impact our people as a whole, right? But when I do that, then all of a sudden it's a problem. Why are you so offended? Why are you so offended? You said I divide. Well, as short, if I divide, I don't have the power to divide anything. If I had the power to divide and control anything, you wouldn't be here. Your people wouldn't be here. These Europeans wouldn't be here. These Hispanics wouldn't be here if I was so divisive. You have hate. Because if I had hate, no, you're the problem, SS short, because you have a problem with the fact that you're mixed. And I guess both of y'all inside are fighting, and you don't want to understand the plight of the melanated ancestry that lies within your blood. You hate to hear the truth about what your European ancestors did to the people that lie within your blood. So now you're fighting yourself, SS short. You are the problem. And I think you probably should go get some counseling for that right now. That's what you need to do. It's not my fault that you think I'm being divisive because the white people wanted to come over here and do what they did to melanated people and lie about our history. And now people are practicing Thanksgiving and they don't understand that that is a false pagan holiday that celebrates the slaughtering and beheading of Native American indigenous people that look like me and people and other people that are like me. That's not my fault that you don't understand that. You're the divisive one, and you're the one that needs to go and get some history lessons and understand that even though you come from a mixed background, hence you have probably European blood and melanated blood, they are still fighting within you because the lineage and the ancestors that lie within your blood, one got basically assaulted by the other one. And now you want to come onto my platform being a hit dog hollering. I have nothing against people that are mixed race, because all of our are mixed up at this point. We are all mixed at this point in some form or fashion, whether, like I said, whether it be by choice or not by choice, because we know what happened to our melanated females that got raped back in the day, right? A lot of that went on. But it sounds like your parents came together and made an agreement to do this. So don't get mad at me. You go take this out on your parents. SS short. Okay? Like I said, I like unity, I like diversity, but I'm not going to overlook Nobody's ever going to make me overlook the real truth about my people, my Native American people, my indigenous people of this land. You or anybody else, as short, you don't like it too bad. You are the problem because you don't like to hear the truth. That is not my problem. That is a you problem. If you don't like it, I could tell you to go back to where you come from, which you can go to Europe if you want. Or let me tell you, like some of the people like to tell us, you can go to Africa, which we know that real indigenous people don't come from Africa. So you want me to excuse myself from telling the truth? I'm not going to excuse myself to make your ego feel better. I'm not going to apologize for anything that has happened in real history. I'm not going to do that for you or anybody else. You said if Africa is failing, then why are you on here telling me about Africa? I'm not in Africa. I don't come from Africa. I don't live in Africa. Why don't you go over there and help Africa out, SS Short? Why don't you go over there and help them out if they're failing? Why don't you do that? Since you're a mixed race, then that means part of you comes from Africa. So go help them out over there, SS Short. You want to come over here because you have a problem with yourself. I've already told the people what lies within my DNA. I have part European in me too, based on what my first cousin told me on my daddy's side, and that is my biological father. But there's nothing I can do about it. But you don't see me going around trying to antagonize people for that, do you? No, you don't. SS Short. He said he hated Esau. Well, he needs to get that hate out of his heart. He needs to get that hate out of his heart. I don't have anything to do with your religious practices, but one thing I'm not going to do is celebrate and partake in a holiday that has nothing to do with the real history of our ancestors of this land. And when I say ancestors, these are the people that have basically died, bled, and fought for the reason why y'all get to come over here and have anything to say in a comment section, to type anything on a platform. You are lucky you're even over here. SS Short. You are lucky to be amongst me. You are even lucky enough to sit on this platform and to even speak to Brown Girls Are Beautiful right now. Because if I want you gone, you will be gone. You will really be gone. You said my pride rules me. Well, if that's how you feel, he needs to get that head out of his heart. And he's not going to make me feel bad because I speak with authority and because I speak with conviction. And obviously, he feels convicted. Obviously, SS Short feels some type of way because he's a hit dog, like I said, hollering in the comment section. And it sounds like he needs some attention from Brown Girls Are Beautiful because he's over here, wanting the attention from a melanated being such as myself. So you go work that out with your parents, go work that out with your family, go work that out with your European side that caused all of this. And if you look all around the nation, all around the globe, they have been the consensus ever since the inception of these creature features called the Caucasoid, SS Short. So why don't you go have this conversation, whichever one of your parents come from Europe, have this conversation with them about the truth, about real history. I bet you won't do that. I bet you won't go crying to them, but yet you come onto a platform that has nothing to really do with you and get mad and start telling me that I'm being hateful. No, you hate yourself because even if I was mixed, even if I was biracial like you claim to be, I wouldn't be coming on here crying to Brown Girls Are Beautiful about it because that is a decision that your parents made. So you go talk to them about that. Yeah, you are suffering. We are suffering because people like you exist in the world, SS Short, because you don't know how to accept the truth. It's people like you that are the problem. Because when people start telling the truth, it's people like you to come around talking about, oh, just get over it. Why don't you get over the fact that you are biracial? You just get over that. Why don't you get over it? But when I say stuff like that, then I'm the problem. I don't care, y'all. I don't care. Like I said, this is not about making him or anyone else like him feel comfortable. I'm not about making you feel comfortable. I'm not about uplifting your ego. That is the problem with all these other nations and nationalities now. They're based on ego and pride. They come over here thinking that they're better than somebody and they're not. And if you are so great and so much better, why are you coming over here to our territory? Why did the European come over here to our territory if they were so great and good and they were excelling in life? Why did they have to come over here? So go back to where you come from. You said you're not crying, just thought you might want to hear something other than hate. Never did I say I hate you. You sound like you hate yourself. I said I'm about unity and diversity, but I'm not going to negate the truth about my ancestry, my ancestors' lineage. And it sounds like you are hypersensitive about it. And if you're hypersensitive about it, then you're denying part of your own history. And it sounds like the European side of you can't handle that. That is not a my problem. That is not a me problem. That is a you problem. All right. You said that's why in the book of Job, God asked Satan in the kingdom, where you been? Satan said, all over the earth. He said they need someone like you to set them straight. I'm not trying to set them straight, but what I am not going to do is make excuses for their egocentric or their egos and their hypersensitive attitudes. That's what we're not going to do over here, because I feel like our people have had to suffer in silence, and we still suffer in silence for too long. So as soon as we say something, it's a problem, right? And we know who the real problem creator is. We know who goes out here creating all these problems. Who said that Africa was perfect? For one thing, I know why you keep bringing up Africa. Why do you keep bringing up? Because I'm not from Africa. You said you mean the Euro and travel, hun? They need you there. We're not African. Lonesome Dove is Mexican, I think, right? Lonesome Dove. He's not African either. What's good, King Hazy? King Hazy, we got a hit dog hollering in the comment section, Melanated King. So they're mad because SS Short is mad because I guess he's biracial. And because I said we don't have to celebrate Thanksgiving, because I said we don't have to celebrate the beheading and the slaughtering of our ancestors if we don't want to. So SS Short is said that I'm practicing hate because I talked about the real history of our nation. So he can't handle the truth because I think his European DNA is fighting with the black side of his DNA, and he wants to take it out on somebody. So I guess he wanted to come to Brown Girls Are Beautiful's platform for some reason and cry about it. You got the hit dogs hollering. You said it is the American holiday to be thankful. That is, well, that's what you can think. That's what the European has brainwashed you to think about the American holiday. And since we want to bring up Americans, who are Americans? Native Americans are melanated indigenous people of this land, SS Short. Europeans came over here back when they claimed Christopher Columbus discovered America, even though that's not true. Because you know how they like to lie about everything. So this was really a conversation for my melanated indigenous people. It really wasn't a conversation for people to come in here and be hypersensitive and try to attack me on my own channel because they can't handle the truth about history. That's not what this is about. But you can think and make it what you want it to be about, okay? Because no matter how you try to spin the narrative, it doesn't negate the truth. So it's not my fault that you want to lie to yourself. That's not my fault. All right. So keep lying to yourself, just like you're gonna be mad when I talk about Christmas, when I talk about Saint Krampus, when I start talking about Saturnalia and how that is a demonic holiday. You're gonna be mad about that too. You said I only talk to my kind. No, ich spreche Deutsch. Okay, I talk to anybody that understands me. And since you negate to understand me, then I'm not talking to you anymore because I don't have time to go back and forth with somebody that wants to be willfully ignorant. All right, there's a difference between naivety and being ignorant and then being willfully ignorant. I have no time for folly. All right, and if you want to know, I'm in the education system and I deal with children every single day. And there are a lot of children that are younger than you, that are elementary age, that understand what I am speaking about. All right, because I've talked to them about it. And if you're an adult coming into the comment section acting like you don't have comprehension skills, that is not my problem. That is a you problem again. And if you call me racist, that's just making me understand that you still have a problem with your European side because you don't even understand racism. But you know, we can't do anything without the overseer snooping around. Yes, Layla, go harder. And you know, my thing is this: if I saw the channel and it said Brown Girls Are Beautiful, and you're talking about Thanksgiving, and you're talking about something and I don't agree with it, why am I going to stay there and try to go back and forth with you and make you feel like you're wrong and you're a racist? See, that's the first thing they like to say is you're a racist. Now, what did I say was racist that was not true? I didn't say anything that was untrue. What I spoke were facts. And what he can't handle is the truth. You can't handle the truth. You want the truth? You can't handle it. That's the problem. That's the problem right now. We can't do anything without them spying on us, Layla. And I noticed, like, even when I was walking through the park, and I was, I have some videos that I'm going to upload for y'all. But even walking through the park, they always find their way into your business. Even when you're minding your own business, they always looking, they're always staring, they're always paying attention to whatever you're doing. That's why I said they can't survive without our energy, Layla. Your hate is going to destroy you, not me. Your people are the ones that hate. That's why this country is in shambles now. It's guilt. They're watching for a revolution, like we would discuss it online. First of all, they can't even handle what their ancestors have done. This is why they lie to themselves about these holidays, Layla. This is why they sit there and say, oh no, it's about people coming together and celebrating, and it's about the American holiday. No, I'm telling you about the real history of where this derives, and about, let's talk about all these other pagan holidays that they invented that people partake in and they don't know the truth about it. I'm not going to sit here and be willfully ignorant. If I know better, I'm going to do better and I'm going to speak about it. I am not going to be lying to the youth and lying to my people about these lies that they keep telling to us. Why would I do that? And would they sit here and let people lie to them about the Holocaust and about all these other egregious things that happened in history? They wouldn't allow it. So why would we allow it? See, but it's okay for us to allow lies to be told about our history. See, that's what I'm saying, how we're overlooked, overshadowed. That's how they feel, that we should not say anything when it comes to us. But when it comes to them, they can say whatever they want. All the lies can be told. We're supposed to shut up, put up with it, not say anything, be walked over like a doormat. Hell no. Nobody's going to do that to make your ego feel better. I don't know who the hell you think you are, but somebody needs to tell you the truth someday, somehow. And you're going to hear it today on this platform, on this channel. If you don't like it, tune out. Tune out. I don't care. Unsubscribe. There are going to be a lot of people that get offended. Unsubscribe, because you're not going to make me turn my back on me and my people that share my same lineage, my same history, my same walk of life. You're not going to make me turn my back on my ancestors. No, you're not, because you don't turn your back on your people when it comes to upholding white supremacy, which we know there's no real such thing. It's called white inferiority. Hence why they had to come over here and slaughter everybody, like they do in every country that they go and colonize. But when we talk about these things, it's like they get so hypersensitive, they get so offended, they start name calling, they start getting just I don't know, offended for some reason. And if you didn't do it, then why are you mad? You know what I'm saying? You can't help what your ancestors did. You can't help that the European side of you did this stuff. Just accept the truth is the truth. Why can't you just agree that this is what they did? They tormented people. They're still tormenting the nation right now. They are tormenting people in other countries right now. But you don't want to accept that because you share the same DNA with these people. And yes, I have some of the same DNA running through my lineage too. But I am not going to negate the fact that the truth is the truth is the truth. No matter how much you want to rewrite history, you can't get away from the truth. And you're not going to make me change it. Yep, he's deflecting. You said, I have turned my back on my ancestors. Sadly, I wasn't raised to be what they were. I will never become them. Never. Well, gee, whatever your ancestors are, it's up to you to embrace and just to do better. I am sure there are things in our lineage that we're not proud of. I'm sure there are things that our ancestors did that we didn't know about, that nobody told us about. But one thing we cannot do is negate the fact that our history does exist and that they have lied about to us. Even coming up in school, they lied to us about our history, and they want us to keep telling these same lies to the youth and to the children, to our children and to their children. I'm not going to do that for anybody. Oh, Marjorie, I hope I didn't offend you. You said you're European and you're white. Well, look, I'm not trying to offend you. And I'm not trying to talk negatively about Europeans, because I'm not saying it's every single European out here or every single white person, but I'm saying as a general, as a whole, I don't think that people should be out here celebrating something and they don't know what they're celebrating. And basically, it is the slaughtering of us, the taking over of this land. And those people include my people, by the way. And I find it very highly offensive that they keep lying to us about our history, lying to us about, the stock market and how Black Friday does exist, which if you Google it, they say it's a theory, but that's not a theory, y'all. They used to sell melanated people on the stock market, put them up there on the podium, strip them down naked, and people would bid on them like they were cars, like they were just objects. You know what I'm saying? This is where you get the strip club culture from. And also, they built Central Park over top of all this history. If you look back into Virginia, there's a lot of history that took place in Virginia too. VCU, which is a medical hospital out there, MCV. And shout out to VCU, y'all. But they rebuilt that medical college over top of a lot of melanated history, y'all. And they say if you go down underneath those tunnels at night, you can hear people yelling at night. There's nobody there, but the spirits and the ancestors are not resting, y'all. So when you tell people to rest in peace, some people are not resting because they have not gotten justice. They have not gotten due justice. You said, honey, you do not offend me. It's all true. I agree with you 100%. Okay, so I just want to make sure that you know that I'm not talking about every single person that's not melanated. I'm not talking about every Middle Eastern person because, like I said, my doctor is Middle Eastern, and I told her I thank her so much for her understanding because as a melanated person, when it comes to medical practice sometimes, and one of my doctors is European, and I told you he's a Caucasian white man. He told us as melanated women, they try to make us get hysterectomies. They don't want us having babies. They experiment on us, and we're not told about medical practices that can help us. And so I'm just making awareness to my melanated women out here. What is so wrong with me telling our truth? What is so wrong with me advocating for women that look just like me? Because I find these people share my same lineage, my same DNA, and it would be wrong of me not to speak up for them. It is wrong for me to sit there and see this woman, a beautiful melanated lady, going to like labor, and then she got turned away by the doctors because they dismissed her, and she had to have that baby in her car. Y'all, these things are happening to us all across the globe, especially here in America. And I just want to say to my melanated people, be really careful of your doctors. I'm not saying that you can't trust your doctor, but make sure you do your research on your doctor. The reason that I tracked down my Indian doctor, she's Middle Eastern, I don't know exactly what country, is because of how she made me feel the first time I went to her. And I told myself I will come back to her. She went out on maternity leave, y'all. And I would not go and see any other doctor until she came back. My European doctor he's in another state. And I'm telling you, it is everything in me is saying I'm going back to him. I don't want any other doctor practicing on me but him because it's how he made me feel when I was talking to him in his doctor's office. He didn't judge me. And that's what I'm saying. It's not some, I'm not trying to, it's not, I'm not saying it's like all races that are like that against us. I'm saying you have to take it on a case by case basis, but in general, as a whole, we are definitely singled out as melanated people. We're definitely there's a lot of malpractice that goes on against us. So those are just two instances. My holistic doctor, she is of melanated descent. Like I said, I think she's from either Africa or South America somewhere. So it's not like I'm trying to make it against people that are from another nation or from another country or because you're Hispanic or because you're European or because whatever you are. If you're biracial, I embrace you as well. I think biracial people deserve to be here just like everybody else. I'm not attacking biracial people at all. When I was growing up, I'm pretty sure I was friends with biracial people. Um, I don't know a lot of biracial people now, but I work and deal with a lot of biracial children. I deal with a lot of Hispanic children, by the way, predominantly Hispanic children. I work with a lot of them, all children. But my point is, I cannot overlook when I know that they are lying about our history, lying about our celebratory practices, lying about just a lot of things that we go through, y'all. And then when we talk about it, we're seeing is being played. We're playing the victim. We're trying to be racist. We're being divisive. No, we're telling our truth. We're talking about things that we have been going through, y'all. And the first thing that I've had two white doctors do this to me, and I talked about it on the channel. They tried to push me and rush me to surgery. They did the same thing to my granny. They tried to rush her to surgery. And I'm like, look, my granny had suffered a stroke. My granny had had back surgery. Why would you rush her to surgery? And you have not even evaluated her as a patient to see if she's strong enough at her age to even get a surgery. And if it were not for my mother advocating and taking notes, they would have put my granny in surgery, y'all. They put her straight to the surgery room, and she called me, my sister, my family came down to advocate for my granny. And my granny was just gonna go along with it because she was elderly, so she didn't know any better. But this happens a lot to people, so especially melanated people, and they do know that we get experimented on. So y'all don't let them gaslight you and tell you that you're making up stuff or you're feeling a certain way for no reason, because this stuff does go on. You said nothing. That's why you subscribe. You're amazing. I love listening to you. Thank you. I don't want you coming on here, thinking that I'm against white people, or I'm against Hispanics, or I'm against Middle Eastern people, or I'm against anybody, because I'm really not. I really grew up around a diverse culture. Like when I was living in Germany, I lived around a bunch of Germans, and look. I even had a German. We had a German exchange day. I went to the German girl. I think I was in like fourth grade. I went to her house. I ate German food. It was like some spaghetti her mother made. She embraced me. I spoke my little bit of German that I could speak to her. And it was nothing. It was like, I just didn't see anything wrong with it. But over here in America, if you were to say, oh, send your child to this other person's house, they're not, first of all, they're not going to do that here in America because there's so much child traffic lighting that's going on today. I don't even think they will do that. But out there, they had, like, it was called a German exchange day, and we got to go have lunch with them, and they got to have lunch with us. And it was just the experience of the other culture and the other, like their food and stuff. And I enjoy all different types of food. I like, German food. I like Indian food. I love Asian food. I like Hispanic food. I love tacos, y'all, but I have to stay away from the tortillas because they eat a lot of flour, bread, and dough, and I really can't have that on my stomach. That makes your carbohydrates and your cholesterol go up. And so I'm trying to be cognizant of my diet as well. But I like a diverse background, a diverse culture, a diverse nation. So I think America is great when it comes to that, but I think there's a lot of lies that are told here. And I think melanated people suffer a lot because we are suffering in silence over here because our stories are always suppressed. Our history is always suppressed. And I think it's wrong. I remember we were made to learn about the Holocaust. We had to learn about that in fourth grade. And I thought that was egregious when I heard what they went through. I had to read the diary of Anne Frank, y'all. And it was a girl from Denmark. And she told her story about how the Nazi Germans and the soldiers, came and rounded up her family. And they were fearful, y'all. And she would have to dye her hair with bleach to make herself look blonde. I thought that was horrible how they got put into gas chambers. Um, all of this is terrible. I think what the Asians went through in Japan, the bombings of Hiroshima, I thought that was terrible. Any human being that goes through genocide, I think is horrible. What's going on with Palestine? I don't talk about it much on this channel because I'm not really following it that much, but I think that is horrible too. I think anybody that has to go through these things is a terrible thing. And I didn't know about Palestine until my daddy was kind of giving me the synopsis on what they are going through. From my understanding, they have been bombing the children, and there are not a lot of adults left over there. And I think that's horrible. So y'all, it's not that I'm just trying to be a racist, like SS Short was saying or whoever was saying. That's not it. It's just that as a melanated person, you can't expect me to ignore my history, my lineage, my ancestry, and overlook all of these things, and just to go along to get along to make other people's ego feel like they're embraced in this nation when I know the fabric of what how this country was built, y'all. We can't. How would be it? It would be an abomination of me to ignore where I come from, y'all. That's just craziness. It's not justice for my great grandparents, my great grandparents, and whomever. They're the reason why I sit here today. So for you to sit here and say I'm racist for talking about these things that actively still go on, that's wrong. That is wrong to say that, y'all. It's not right. You said doctors have a lot of bills when they run an office, staff salaries to pay and equipment. Y'all should have seen the bill they sent me. I got an $18,000 bill right now sitting on in my records. And I'm gonna have to see why they didn't run it through my insurance. But all of that was for my therapy for my wrist because they tried to tell me that I needed surgery, y'all, for my wrist. And I still need to work on it. I'm not where I should be, but y'all, I didn't need surgery. That doctor really was just trying to get me to get surgery the day, it was like the week before Christmas. No, it was the week of Christmas. It was like right before New Year's. They were trying to get me to go into surgery for my wrist when we already know our bones actually fuse back together and heal. I know that much. I'm not a doctor, but I know that much. And I just refused the surgery and they kept pushing it and I didn't need it. And he was talking kind of down, like he was kind of talking like in a condescending manner to me. And y'all, I want to tell you this too. So G Marie, I want to tell you this, okay? GB Margie. Sorry, I mispronounced your name. GB Margie. I want to tell you this. So I've noticed too that the Caucasian doctor, when I went to see him, the one that was pushing me for me to have surgery on my wrist, he told me the reason that I should have the surgery on my wrist is because of my age. But if I were an older person, he would not recommend the surgery. But since I'm younger, he recommends that I have the surgery. So I told this to my daddy, and my daddy said, that doesn't make any sense to me. He was like, it would seem like you would need surgery as you get older because your body takes longer to heal. It's harder for your body to heal. He said, that doesn't make no damn sense to me. That's what my daddy was saying. And even my friend, I allowed her to come in there with me to kind of like listen in because she has a medical background. And so she was just like that didn't make sense to her either. But while the doctor was in there talking to me, he could not look me in my eyes, y'all. He would not look me in my eyes. Never once would he look at me in my eyes. And he always looked off to the side and he was kind of like um to me it was kind of like condescending how he was talking. So sometimes y'all, you and I hate to say this, you have to play dumb when you're around people that have these titles and these professions, even though are, you're smart enough to understand what they're trying to say, but you got to play dumb sometimes. So he said, Does that make sense? Am I making sense to you?" I said, kind of, sort of. I said, it's just so much going on. I said, I don't have a medical background. So, and my friend spoke up and she said, and that's why I do. So we got together when we got up to the car and we had the conversation. She said, "Friend, I don't think you need that surgery." I'm standing here right now and look at my wrist, y'all. Look at my wrist. Flick of my wrist. Flick of my wrist. He said I wasn't going to be able to do this. And then I want to talk to you, GB Margie, about another situation. I was telling the people about this. I'm a realtor. Okay. So, one thing about real estate, and this is a thing that we don't talk about, but when I talk about being systematically oppressed, financially disenfranchised, I try to make it my practice when I do my open houses to treat everybody fair across the playing field. And a lot of open houses that I host, because I work with a team like of very high functioning realtors. Our I didn't know our office was like the number one office in the nation, y'all. But they sell a lot of high dollar real estate, and a lot of these houses are $1 million homes and stuff like that. So lo and behold, it was this referral that I got from one of my colleagues. So the colleague referred me over to the client. So the client reached out to me, and as soon as she reached me, I called her right back, and she said she wanted to meet up that day. So I said, "Yeah, I'll come over and meet with you today." So she wanted to buy the townhouse that she was renting. So she's living in the property and she wants to buy the home. So I'm telling her all the information. She's a first time home buyer. I'm telling her everything, that it would entail for her to purchase because she's a first time home buyer. She doesn't know. She lets me look at the house. I'm telling her my thoughts, my opinions. I even tell her that I have a great rapport with the person that's representing the seller of her townhouse. So I know we can make this deal work in her favor, right? I'm telling her this. I'm telling her all these things. I'm telling her I'm going to send you over the documents for you to sign so we can get the ball rolling. I even refer her over to the lender that, listen to this, y'all. The lender that I referred her over to not only got her qualified or pre approved, but also got her a down payment assistance program where she doesn't even have to put any money down on the property so she could actually get into this house to make this purchase. So we could close like this. I told her, I said, we could close before the end of the year. I said, you could be closed by December. I said, that's how fast the closing process goes. I said, I will take great care of you. So lo and behold, I'm sending her the documents. I'm in class, I'm in school, I substitute teach as well. As I'm sitting there, I get a text from her. You know what the text reads? Oh, my sister referred me over to a family realtor. So you're very professional. You're great. You're excellent. And I will definitely refer my future friends and things to you. But I'm going to go with the realtor that my friend referred me to. So now the commission that I could have made, I don't make that because she would rather see it go to a Caucasian female that she hasn't even met with, doesn't even know, but she's met with me. You just told me out of your mouth that I'm excellent. I'm professional. You said that I'm very insightful. I've given you a lot of great feedback. She said these things out of her mouth. Now, let me let you know something, GB Margie. She is another person that could not look me in my eyes as I was talking to her. She wouldn't look me in my face the whole time I'm standing in front of her talking to her. Not one time would she look me in my eyes. And I'm looking her in her eyes because I'm like, we're talking about something very important. You're talking about your financial future. You're about to make a purchase and we're doing conducting business. I it's my practice to treat all people the same. And not just that, even when I was talking to my doctor, I was looking at him. He would never look at me straight in my face. So I felt in my heart of spirits when I walked out of there that she wasn't going to work with me anyway. But yet, and still, I was still advocating for her. And on top of that, she knew that she wanted to use me for free information, free resource, just free is what she saw in me. So she didn't see me as valuable enough to receive the commission that I would be due. But then she's going to say, "Oh, I'm meeting up with this other realtor on Monday." So when I talked to my colleague, I let her know. I said, "Look, good luck to you. Thank you for referring her over, but she's not going to go with me. She's going to use another realtor." She was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." And I said, "No, it happens. We're accustomed to this as melanated people, is what I'm saying. We're accustomed to knowing that no matter how good you treat clients, no matter the knowledge that you bring, the professional skill set that you have, how you try to make people comfortable around you, it doesn't matter because they don't want to see you excel on a financial level." GB Marie. Oh, you're French? Okay. And so that's what I'm saying. So we just have to understand that that goes on here. A lot of melanated realtors, a lot of melanated female realtors that I talk to, they understand that this is a practice. One of the male realtors, he's a melanated guy, and we were talking, and he told me that he was working with a group of Caucasians. He was representing them. He was going to sell their property, and they came out of their mouth and told him, "Oh, well, the white realtor was going to list our property and charge us less of a commission. I guess less of a fee." And I was like, "They said that to you? Why would they mention her race?" And I was like, if they had told me that, I probably would have excused myself from being their realtor because we can actually sever the relationship with the client if we feel that it's not a good fit as well. The client can also sever the relationship if they feel that if it's not a good fit. I've never had that happen to me, but everybody that has actually signed the buyer's agent agreement with me, we've always made it to the closing table because like I said, I take great care of my clients, y'all. You said it's so wrong. I get so angry when I hear things like this. It happens though. But I had a port. I think he's Puerto Rican. I don't know what he is. I don't want to misrepresent him, but he's Hispanic. But if you look at him, he looks like a light skinned melanated person, but he speaks Spanish. But I represented him as well the other week because he was moving from New Jersey. I should read you the text message that he sent me. He said greetings. He said thank you so much for working with me. He was able to attain the property. He said I will definitely recommend you in the future. You were very professional. So that makes me feel good because sometimes it can almost make you second guess yourself when you are like systematically profiled and disenfranchised. You kind of question yourself, like, what am I doing wrong? What am I not doing? Why am I, going through this? You start to question yourself sometimes. And like this is why I have this channel, because I want to tell my melanated people, it's not you. It's not you. If you know that you have your credentials, you're going to school, you're professional, you're articulate, you try your best, that's all you can ever ask for. For some people, that's never going to be enough because you don't fit. You're not the what do they say? You don't have the complexion of protection, y'all. Okay. And that's just what it is. So your plight is going to be different. My instructor, my realtor, he was a gay Caucasian guy. And I really liked his class, y'all, because he was very um I want to say he was very animated. But I would sit at the front of the class, and he said, she and I, this is how he spoke about it. He said, she and I, we're going to have two different experiences as realtors. He said, I, because I'm a white Caucasian male, and she, because she's, he said, a black African female. He was just honest about it. And I appreciated him for just telling the truth, y'all. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't gaslight me and make me feel like, oh, this is racist because you're saying that, you're being discriminated against. No, tell me the truth to my face. That's why I said people like to be told a beautiful lie. I'd rather have the ugly truth. He told the truth. That is the truth. That's the truth of America, y'all. And that goes on a global scale. I mean, it is what it is, y'all. But we just have to live through it, y'all. You said, I don't mean to interrupt. I have an emergency, so I'll view you again later. So nice talking to you, and I'll certainly be back. Hugs. Thank you so much, y'all. But I'm going to leave out of here because I've been on here for an hour and a half talking to y'all. So hopefully you've gotten some type of substance from what I'm saying, y'all, and learned something for today. If you hear people talking about their experience in America, this is what I'm talking about, okay? But y'all, it's way past my time. I have to get going because I have to prepare for tomorrow. Tomorrow is my oldest nephew's birthday, y'all, and he has requested that I be there. My presence is there for him. So I have to get out. I have to go to the store. I have to eat. It's so much I have to do. I want to do my hair. I want to get prepared. So thank y'all so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for listening in. Thank you for your likes, your subscriptions, for watching, even for engaging. If you don't understand, hopefully you understand better. And even shout out to SS Short. If you think I'm being racist and whatever and divisive, well, thank you for even engaging and coming onto the platform. But yeah, I have to go. I'm going to run. Signing out. Please continue to celebrate yourself. Walk in your divinity, y'all, especially my melanated people. Continue to walk in your divinity. Remember to uplift yourselves, celebrate yourself, because if you don't, who else will? I am signing out, and shout out to Lala Go Harder. I like that. I like that name. Thank you for the hearts, y'all. Y'all stay